I'm gonna show you God does exist. What do you say we cut the chit-chat a-hole?
Yeah, so to start off, I guess I'm Skyhawk, and
I'm Max.
yes,
And we're doing our Nicolas Cage podcast because we're Nicolas Cage big fans. That's how we met each other. That's how we became friends. And today we're just giving back to Cage what he gave to us by spending some time explaining what we like about it.
It took a while. Like, we've been wanting to do this for maybe like almost like half a year. I feel like it's been a long
or even
time.
most, but
Yeah.
But
So
what we kept us from doing it is because our first goal was to see every movie starring Nicolas Cage, and finally both of us have seen the complete filmography of Nicolas Cage.
yeah, I mean, it's not like we're bragging, but we've seen, every single movie, which is like 100. And that also doesn't mean that we also have other stuff in our lives. Like, we contribute to society. So yeah, but we also watched all his movies.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest, the Christmas Carol,
Oh yeah.
it's impossible to find, but we saw all the scenes with Nicolas Cage in the Christmas Carol.
Well, as we're being honest, I did get the full version of it. But
What?
Yeah, but we had already watched those, and I'm just like, okay, like, I'm not gonna watch this whole fucking, like, we all know the story, the Christmas Carol, like, blah, blah, like, I'm not gonna, like, watch this whole thing for, like, 5 minutes.
Because there are only 5 minutes
Yeah, in
of
case
Nicolas Cage in that movie. But
Yeah. But, I mean, I think that's fair, because we both watched the USS Indianapolis and the World Trade Center, and those movies are so long.
And Left Behind.
Oh yeah, and that's just horrible. And so I think we've kind of paid our dues to where we can just watch, just his scenes from the Christmas Carol, and we're gonna count that.
All of that said, so we want to do a regular podcast about some movies that we really like, and the first one we have today is about Vampire's Kiss, movie from '88, about a business guy that along the movie turns into a vampire.
Yeah, and to back up for a sec, like, let's just talk about Nick Cage himself. Like, what I don't know, like, what got you into Nick Cage?
Sorry, what?
Like, what got you into Nick Cage? Like, why do you like him so much?
Nick Cage, I mean, as a teenager, like, I had the VHS of Con Air.
Classic.
I couldn't stop watching the movie again and again and again, and then I was seeing over action movie with Nick Cage, and then when we met, it pushed us to go a bit deeper into what Nicolas Cage is, and
We definitely pushed each other. I mean, I think if it wasn't for you, I probably wouldn't have even been like, we have to, like, watch every single movie. And I think that, like, so we made like a list. Now, to be honest, like, I think I started a list. I mean, maybe like 3. If I don't know, time these days could be long or short, but I think maybe like 3 or 4 years ago already, like, I started the list. But then, like, I never actually, like, was like, okay, now I'm gonna watch them all. I just, like, when I would watch one, I'd, like, knock one off.
yeah, but I remember how it all started. Like it was, we were not hanging out together that much, but one evening you wrote to me. Like, I remember I was in my bed about to sleep, and I got the
Wild at
message
Heart.
from you, and you were like, dude, watch Wild at Heart, like, it's so Cage and stuff. And then you send me the list, like, I'm trying to watch every Nicolas Cage movie, and yeah, like, and then you watch Wild at Heart, and then you watch another one, and then the passion grows, and
Well, I have to, like, that was when I first moved to, within the first year that I moved to Berlin. So, like, yeah, that was at least, like, 4 or 5 years ago. That, like, I can't believe that it was already been that long since I even thought, like, okay, we need to watch them all. And, like, yeah, I mean, I remember watching that too, because, like, we had talked a few times, at this bar, and we both were like, oh yeah, like Nick Cage, like he's pretty good. Like whether his movies are good or bad, usually they're entertaining. And so, like, I remember, like, watching Wild at Heart, and I was just like, oh, Max is like, I wonder if he's up right now. Little did I know that usually on the weekends, you're probably up at, like, 3 or 4 in the morning. So I was like, dude, you have to watch Wild at Heart. And, yeah. I mean, I guess for me, with Nick Cage, too, like, I grew up with him, and, like, I mean, I remember when I was a kid, Con Air was in the movie theater, and like I couldn't see it because I was too young. But like I remember my brother like telling the story about it to like my mom. It was like, oh yeah, it's like this criminal, like he's like on a plane with all these other criminals, and this one guy like had like all these chains and stuff because he's like a mass murderer and blah blah. And I remember thinking, it's like, oh my god, like this movie sounds so like scary, like blah blah. It's like all these murders and this and that, and then like. When it was actually on, you know, like TV or whatever, and I was like watching it, and I was just like, "Oh, this movie's so cool."
Yeah, with John Malkovich as well, John Cusack.
Yeah, and so like I definitely had like a phase when I was young. You know, you don't really know what good actors are, so I'm watching his stuff, and I'm like, I really liked him, like that and The Rock. Like I watched The Rock as a kid a lot.
The Rock is a classic. Like everybody who have seen The Rock as a kid likes The Rock, and nobody can go against The Rock. Like.
Oh yeah, I mean, come on, Sean Connery.
Yeah, Ed Harris. Director Michael Bay.
Oh yeah, you got San Francisco. You got explosions. You got a Humvee. And yeah, and so then I got older, maybe in high school or something like that, and I started like you know, because he was making so many movies. Like I think even then was when Ghost Rider came out, and I was like, wait a minute. I was like, dude, this guy fucking sucks. And I was just like, he's not a good actor. And then just later, it just happened, you know, I ended up watching this and that, and I realized, like, okay, like, he actually can act when he has to. Just, it depends on the roles and this and that, but, like, he, you know, he's bad, but he's also good, and it just...
Yeah, it's just someone you see in every movie, like, he's in about 4 movies a year, and, yeah, everything cannot be perfect, but... I mean, he remains always a good actor. It's just that the movies are not always good.
But it's like, I don't know. I mean, I think, like, even like, I feel like Bruce Willis these days too. Like he just is just pushing out all this garbage. Like it's absolute shit. But there are movies that he's in that are like great. And I think like with Cage, I mean, there are some ones where it's like, I mean, he's always. I mean, I feel like he's always like into it, but just sometimes it's just like, okay, I'm gonna act like this way. I'm gonna go full Cage, go kind of crazy, blah blah, and just be like this. But then there's other times when there's maybe a script or this and that he's actually into, and like he will like commit to it, and he will kind of switch up his style.
Exactly, yeah. It's not always the same character, like some other actors that will be always in the same role of that kind of bad guy or that kind of good guy. Cage can be everything and stuff, and he's really good, and he has been good for a long time, and that's the thing when you start discovering the whole filmography from Cage, you can see that his early works are also very, very good, like some movies with Sean Penn or Valley Girl, or the one he was first nominated for the Oscar with Moonstruck, with Cher. And
Chair.
Just
a chair. Just Nicolas Cage and chair.
A cage in a chair.
A cage in a chair. That chair also won an award. It was a good chair.
She got an Oscar.
Yeah, it was a good chair. I mean, I don't know what kind of wood it was, like a Scandinavian birch or like a North American maple, but like, I mean, if you've seen the movie, like that chair was solid. But yeah.
No, fuck you, man. We gotta cut this, man.
But
I was trying to make a point about Cher, because everybody likes Cher. No, how you say it?
Everybody likes Cher. I mean, you sit on it, you know. No, I'm just giving you a hard time. But
okay, let's just introduce ourselves quickly. So, I'm Max. I'm 33 years old, and I'm French. And all my first movies I saw with Nicolas Cage were in the French version, which might explain why I didn't like Nicolas Cage at first. But now seeing the movies in the original version, gives me a whole new perspective. And
I mean, imagine being the person that has to dub Nicolas Cage and like, I mean, I don't know if you can really like copy that kind of energy or something.
yeah, or the accent in Con Air.
Right.
Like,
Oh yeah, I mean, it's not like they sent some French guy to Alabama for 3 months to perfect the French version of an Alabama accent. Just it can't be done. How do you say like put the bunny back in the box in French?
yeah, mets le lapin dans la boîte. C'est pas...
Mets le lapin dans les... Say it again.
Yeah, mets le lapin dans la boîte.
Mets le lapin dans la boîte. Mets le lapin dans les plaies. I don't know. I mean.
Blup, 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 blup. Blup, blup. Okay.
Blup, blup, blup. Yeah, but I'm gonna make say maybe when I got back into Cage and thinking like, okay, he's a good actor, it's like when I saw like Leaving Las Vegas or something, where like that was like a serious role, and like yeah, like he did still have his kind of little crazy like, but like it was good, and then it was like it was proper for the role, and then even like say like an adaptation, he
When he's Charlie Kaufman.
yeah, like I mean he just like he played that well good as well, like I don't know, like he can shine, and he's won an Oscar, so we can't deny that he is a good actor, because yeah.
I mean, a lot of people are saying he's either really bad or really good, but making so much polemic means that people talk about him. It's not that he's being ignored, and whatever happens, like people are talking about him, and it's just a sign that he's doing something very important, and he's a good contribution to the whole world of cinema.
Mm-hmm. So now I just realized, since we're reintroducing ourselves, so I'm Skyhawk, 32, single, for all the like one person that's probably gonna listen to this, if you're a female, yeah, send an email, and then my secretary, we'll figure it out. But yeah, so I like long walks on the beach, and yeah, I have a dog that's totally my dog and not my roommate's dog. So
It's under the bed, right?
yeah, so if you guys are dog lovers, I have a dog. But okay, so yeah, so we talked about Cage, why we're into him, and then
Yeah, but it's only because it's the first one, but we might do it again the next ones if we have enough people, or if more people want to discover us.
Yeah, I mean right now it's a pretty rinky-dink setup, but these days, I mean, like with technology, this and that, I mean, you can hear us, and so I guess that we're recording ourselves, so that's the most important part. So we'll see how it goes.
It's kind of a pilot episode. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I mean earlier we definitely had some like technical issues trying to sort it all out, but hopefully this will be okay. So yeah, so we talked about why we liked him, we talked about blah blah blah, and then now, okay, so you already kind of gave kind of like a summary of the movie, right?
Yeah, it was a bit too early, but
well, I mean, I guess we can just edit it.
I mean, it's not the movie that everyone knows about when it comes to Nicolas Cage, but it was one of his early work and one of the first movie he had with his new teeth, because he got an operation after Moonstruck. Because before, you can see he had really bad teeth.
But do you think that that's just because like he wasn't brushing, or like he had too much soda, or he just had like genetically he just had bad teeth?
I would say it was genetically. Because I have myself bad teeth, and I want to blame it on the genetic and not on
But your teeth aren't as bad as his, and I mean you like brush and stuff. Like, do you think maybe with him it was maybe like a mix of bad teeth? No, but
they're not bad in the sense that they look dirty. They were bad in the sense they look like he was a...
He had little baby teeth or something.
No, but he looked like a rabbit or no.
Okay, yeah. Well, okay, so I mean, in theory, you think it's something that could have been solved with maybe like braces as a kid?
I guess so, yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay. Something like that. But, yeah, I mean, and as far as, Vampires Kiss, I feel like it's one of those movies that's been kind of seen as, like, a really bad movie, but also, like, he gives, I mean, you can at least say it's an interesting performance, and so like I think it's a good place to start off because you see him kind of being. It's like in the beginning when he's like first been able to be kind of like crazy or something. This is kind of like the start of I guess like what you maybe expect.
Not at the
from him.
beginning. At the beginning, you only see him as a successful businessman in New York, in Manhattan, and that's how he starts. And then you just follow him on his path of being this kind of guy. And I mean, to be honest, like the writing on IMDb is like 5.6 out of 10, but I mean, you have to give it a shot because it's really interesting, and for the people who know Christian Bale or the books of
Ellis was like Brent.
Bret Easton Ellis.
Yeah.
It's the movie that inspired actually the book American Psycho.
Really? Okay, because I mean, American Psycho was written in the 80s, but it was written after this movie was made.
No, we had this talk already.
We didn't have it on this show, did we?
True.
That's right, guys.
So,
this is a show.
The first time we talked about this, and the first time I told Skyhook that Vampire's Kiss inspired American Psycho, Skyhook was saying that no, because American Psycho was written in the 80s, and actually it was written a short time after Vampire's Kiss, that is from 88. And American Psycho was from in the beginning of the 90s.
Well, do you know what? Max just loves to, make me admit that I'm wrong. I'm wrong. Okay, yeah. So, and to be honest, like when you watch the movie, you kind of actually can kind of see it a little bit. Like I feel like in Vampire's Kiss, they kind of went like. It's a little. I mean, it's not like as serious of like a movie or something like that, but it's like the same kind of themes where it just kind of feels like these kind of rich, well off kind of like business people in New York. They're kind of like assholes, and then they kind of I don't know, like they're just not content with like life or something, and then also just kind of shows like I don't know, like what the like kind of like making like a statement about like what like the work force was back then, like say like in this in Vampire's Kiss, it just seems like you kind of see like the difference between kind of like how women and men were treated in like the workplace and how it's like
especially in New York when in this kind of businesses how all the women were secretaries that would do all the dirty work of the businessmen, and all the businessmen were actually not really working but just giving the orders, and because the whole plot of a big part of the plot of Vampire's Kiss is about the file that is misplaced, and Nicolas Cage is, instead of doing the job by himself, he's just asking that woman again and again and again to find that file.
But he's also just being like an asshole about it, and then like even like in the movie, like when he calls the person like, oh, like we don't have it yet, and the guy's fine, he's like, no, the guy was very mad, like blah blah. So it's like he just purposely is like on this kind of power trip where it's like I'm above you, you need to listen to me, like blah blah blah. And so I don't know, I feel like it definitely has like there's like a statement in there just about like
definitely which is well portrayed for a movie that is I mean earlier than when it was a really problem or really brought up in society.
Yeah, and the things like in the movie, I feel like obviously they're dramatizing it, this and that, but I feel like it's pretty accurate to probably like what shit was like. I mean, maybe even still is like, I don't know, but like, yeah, I don't know. I thought that was
and watching it again today, like you can definitely see it, and that's why it makes it more interesting, and that's what makes Cage more interesting. Like.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess now like we actually are kind of getting into dissecting the movie, and it's like, yeah, I mean, as far as when you like look at his performance and stuff, so I'm gonna be honest now and say like I'd listened to some podcasts and this and that already before about this movie, so I kind of have stuff that I'm like, oh, these facts, blah blah, but it's like I guess I'm just kind of stealing what other people said. But what I'd heard is like things like with the way he talked, because like he did talk kind of like funny, like, oh, I don't know, blah blah, and I guess his like father was a philanthropist or something like that, and so this is him actually making
Full-on rapist.
full-on rapist. Yeah, and so this was, I mean, technically in this movie he was a full-on rapist.
Actually,
No.
yes. Spoiler, but yeah.
But like I guess that was like his attempt to kind of he was trying to copy his father, because I guess his thing, like the characters, like the whole thing is like this sophisticated person, and so I just thought that was like interesting, or that's kind of how he interprets like what his father sounds like. And to be honest, now I'm kind of curious. Like, I want to meet his dad. And be like, it's so nice to meet you. I don't know. Like, I wonder if what his dad sounds like. Because I mean, as far as if you think his version of an Alabama accent is very different than an Alabama accent. So his version of his dad's accent, I don't know, it might be totally different than what his dad sounds like. I don't know.
And for those who don't know it, his dad is actually the brother of Francis Ford Coppola. And so Nicolas Cage is the nephew of Francis Ford Coppola.
Yeah. And I don't know, you guys probably already know, but he changed his last name to Cage, just because he was like tired of kind of living, like he didn't want to live off of like the family's name or whatever. Like he wanted to kind of do something for himself, which, yeah, is, I mean, respectable.
And because he was a comic book fan, he chose Cage because of Luke Cage, that Marvel comic book hero.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, I mean, it's a cool name. It sounds good. I mean,
Yeah,
Cage.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, good on him.
fair enough.
And so,
But back to the movie.
yeah. Well, so like another thing I was gonna say. So, another fact that I totally know myself, did not steal from somebody else. So like with like the whole fake bat, I guess like they have like a fake bat in the movie that comes in, flies around, this and that. I guess he wanted a real bat because they wanted it to look real.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And so he
Yes,
he sent like an intern to go to like Central Park in like the night and try to find him a bat. And then like eventually, you know, it's like I guess the director or whatever had to like come up with something, be like, oh look, legally we can't, you know, use a real bat because it's like a liability because it could have diseases, this and that. But just like imagine being that intern where Nick Cage, to be honest, that almost like reflects his character in the movie, just like with his crazy request.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
He's like, I need to go in Central Park right now and find me a bat. Dude, I wanna meet some of Nick Cage's interns. I bet they have some crazy stories.
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay. So let's see. Okay, so then we have So what did you want to say about the French mimes?
Oh no, it's just funny that, but
Oh.
I think it's an homage to the art or everything. But at some point he comes back to his apartment in that movie, and in front of his apartment you have two French mimes, which are the
Well, I have a question though. I mean, are
source
they
of the
French?
art.
You know, are all mimes that wear berets and like the striped shirt, is that then a French mime?
I mean, when you have a German shepherd in Germany, is it just
It's just a shepherd. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, well, I don't know if this is exactly the same.
I would just say touche.
Touche. Well, no, I'm just gonna say that. What is it? Chai. I forget if the word chai is like Indian or Chinese or blah blah, but the word chai means tea. So when you get chai tea, that's just tea.
Like risotto rice.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, I don't know what point I'm proving.
Yeah.
But I think I proved it. I think I'm gonna say 1 for Skyhawk, 0 for Max.
Okay. Game on.
Okay. And so then like another thing, like when we talk like, I don't know, Cage was he definitely was like, I don't know, like he's definitely like a method actor. And so like in this, I also heard it's like, you already see it in the movie, like shots of like Nosferatu and this and that, but like he really does kind of like take on this kind of like rigid kind of like body language, and so it's I don't know, it's kind of cool because like it's weird because like it's a modern day film, but it's like with like the music and this and that, it's like they kind of are like paying a little bit of homage to like the old like Nosferatu movie, and so just it's interesting taking like an old idea, but then it's like this movie itself, I mean, at the core of it, it's totally different. Where like I mean it's somebody.
By the way, fun fact: Francis Ford Coppola, his uncle, so he realized the Dracula movie with Gary Oldman and Keanu Reeves,
Yeah, which just
which has nothing to do with it.
no, but a bit of a tangent though. But like I'm a big Keanu Reeves fan, but like that movie, like he's so horrible, and like his accent, like first is an English accent, he probably loses it halfway through, but it's just like when he looks out the window and he sees like Gary Oldman like climbing up the wall of the castle. It's like what the fuck, and then like they're talking to him, it's like oh it's like blah blah. And he's just like I have seen many strange things already. It's just like. Just like dude, and then when they're the vampire ladies are like eating the baby in front of him, and he's just like, I mean, it's a good movie, but fuck Keanu. I mean, sometimes you also are a bad actor.
I saw the movie when I was really young, and when you see it as a young person, you don't like it. But
oh, dude, that movie's scary.
Oh, it's just like shocking. But back to Vampire's Kiss.
You know, back to Bram Stoker's Dracula. So I'm actually reading the book now. I'm kidding. So body language, blah blah, and buying this.
Homage to Nosferatu.
Yeah, and I mean, it's an interesting story in a sense because obviously, like, it's him going crazy, and so part of it is trying to figure out, like, okay, like what's real and what's not. And so I guess so we could say like the Jennifer Beals character, obviously she must have been made up, but then that one scene in the club, like then that must have maybe been like just like actually a person, like and that's like maybe he had seen her before, so just imagine her, and then that was like the real version of her, this and that. But, like for that one part, I think that was in reality. I guess him killing that girl in the club. I mean, I guess that must be real because you see the newspaper.
I mean, yeah, he's definitely killing the girl, but all these scenes when he's seeing the girl, I mean, because he's seeing her at the very beginning, and then he's starting imagining that he's having something with her, and he's imagining that she's the vampire.
Okay, yeah. So he just
she's
saw
the
her.
vampire that converted him, but nothing happened between the two of them. But he has such an ego and everything that he doesn't accept rejection, and that's why he just imagine in his head that he's still having something with the girl, and the girl is just a vampire, and and all along you see that girl like just coming to him as a vampire and influencing him in his decisions. Like he's canceling his dates, and he's doing shit, and that's funny because also like he's thinking that he's a vampire, but he doesn't have the teeth.
Yeah.
And then you have this scene when he has to go to that little shop and he's buying this plastic teeth.
He doesn't have money for like enough money for the good ones, so he just gets the plastic ones.
The one we all had as a
children,
kid, the ones that are horrible to wear, that you would just
it cuts up your mouth and shit.
and you would just wear them for 2 minutes and just just wear them and just put them away, but just keep the whole vampire costume, but without the teeth because the teeth are just too not comfortable.
But you know, because of like how kind of I guess primitive or whatever special effects were back in like when Nosferatu came out, like with him wearing with the style of like filming stuff back then, and then him now wearing those teeth, it actually then like it does remind you of like the old movie. Like it's almost kind of like its cheesiness.
I believe it's definitely something. And making homage to it because the way he wears it and when he enters the nightclub with the teeth,
that's what I mean. Like it works. Like it's funny, but it's weird. Like I like it's weird how they're able to then give you like
the way he has his hands in front of his chest and stuff. Like he's just moving like Nosferatu in that movie and so.
Dude, and then I mean also it's like with when he's like can't see his reflection, but you as a viewer can obviously see like there's the reflection, and so it's like okay, he's definitely like he's not a vampire. Like I'm pretty sure he's not a vampire, and that's like with the
for all the people who haven't seen the movie who would think it's a vampire movie, it's not a vampire movie. It's a movie about someone who thinks he's becoming a vampire.
So I mean, so is that then not a vampire movie? Because I mean, it's like if you're like an imposter or something, if you're like pretending to be something, but then is that
not a vampire movie in the sense it's not a movie about someone getting superpowers or
I mean, he kind of thought he had powers.
Yeah, but all the time, like when he's in the sun, for example, like he's like, "Oh no, I cannot see the sun," but actually he's just
the
he's standing in the sun.
Let me just put on some sunglasses and then I'm fine.
Yeah, that's a very fun part of that movie is when all along he's wearing these massive big sunglasses.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, they're cool. Like, if I could just wear the sunglasses in the office and like it would, well, I guess it would. In his office, that's also not normal. I feel like everybody's looking at him too. But like, if I could, just wear sunglasses in the office, I totally would do it. Like,
yeah, there's another thing he's doing it because it was the 80s. He's also smoking in the office.
Smoking
and you're like, oh, those were over time.
Yeah, well, I mean, like with days is like when he goes to the chick in like the back room of the club, and she's just like there, just at the table, it's like doing coke, and just like, oh, the 80s. I mean, like, obviously I wasn't there then, but I'd like to assume that's probably what it was like. It seems like from all the stories you hear that's just what it was like, just especially in New York.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah, so okay. Well, no, I mean, I guess you can, if you want to talk about the legend status.
Oh yeah, so you have one thing in the movie that is a kind of a constant, like every few scenes you have a scene with his therapist, and one scene that made Nicolas Cage very famous is that one scene when he's talking about this file that has been lost, and they're talking with his therapist about how the file could get lost, and the thing is, so it's a paper file because it's in the 80s and stuff.
80s.
And this is that famous scene, I recommend you to watch it on YouTube if you haven't seen the movie, where he starts explaining that it's impossible to lose that file because it's all...
It's a system.
It's a system with in alphabetical order. And then he starts doing the alphabet like A, B, C, D, and then he does the whole alphabet till the end. And I think it's one of the scenes back in the days that started to create the legend of Nicolas Cage, like where he was not just acting but doing the Nicolas Cage style, which will be a topic that we can talk about.
Now, what's we should have looked this up before, but he has like his own word or like whatever that like describes his style of acting, like something vu or hold on, let's check this out real quick.
Yeah, I mean, we can cut this part.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we're talking about he kind of like his style of acting. He ended up like coining this term called like nouveau shamanic, which is kind of like explains like what his style, craziness that is him.
I guess the choosing those terms and nouveau, it has to do with like this current in the 60s or 50s of the nouvelle vague, like the new wave, like this new way of doing cinema.
Yeah.
And I guess it was just the next step, and calling it nouveau shamanic is just an homage to all these movies that revolutionized the cinema back in the days.
Yeah, I mean, like with the Cage, like he's crazy this and that, and like you've seen like crazy interviews or blah blah blah, but like he actually is like a smart dude too. So I'm not like surprised like there are things like where he puts some thought into it.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay. And so another I guess funny thing about this movie is so like in New York, the filming and public laws are like pretty relaxed. Like you can just film in public and like it's fine.
It was the 80s, yeah.
No, not even the 80s. Like now they still do it. That's why like a lot of kind of like these like not reality TV like but shows where it's like where they like prank kind of real people.
Oh yeah.
They always do that in New York because there's
but also I mean like back in the days like he was famous but not that famous.
Oh yeah.
But that's why you have this scene when he's running around on the streets in New York when he's yelling that I'm a vampire! I'm a vampire! Actually, that scene was just filmed on the streets of New York, and the people had no idea what was happening.
Yeah, that's those are all just like real people. And it's like imagine just like at the time maybe you don't know who Nick Cage is, but it's like just being like walking on the street and just seeing some guy like running through like I'm a vampire, and it's like To be honest, I'm sure like a lot of people's like, oh, New York, like they probably like this happens all the time. Like,
I mean, the same could happen in San Francisco.
no, what? Funny story. I mean, not exactly the same, but I was in San Francisco once, and I was with some friends, and we were walking through the Tenderloin, which is like kind of like the worst area in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And we were like walking by, and there's like this homeless guy with like a shopping cart like full of cans and stuff, like kind of like walk like push his cart by us, and he just like says like, "Thank God I don't live in this neighborhood." And so I mean, yeah, I mean you like I mean in the cities you'll meet some interesting characters. Okay, let's see what else we gotta talk about. Okay, yeah, so then talking about like the reality of it, this and that, like so. Was he talking to the therapist? Was she real the entire time, or was it just that last scene that he was imagining?
I would say that it was just the last scene.
Yes, yeah, I mean that kind of makes sense. But like, what's also just funny about that is then like he like meets the perfect woman like this and that, you know, and there he is like, you know, talking to nobody. And already, you know, like after 5 minutes, he's like getting in a fight with her, just like, oh, you cunt, like blah blah blah. Yeah. Just like, oh man, it's just like, it's funny. And then even with like the file and stuff, you know, because like he'll freak out at her, then like he'll apologize, and then it's like the last time when she called in sick. And he goes there, and he's like super sweet. And,
yeah,
like, nice.
He looks for the address of his employee called sick, and then he takes a taxi to her place to just pick her up, and then the one thing like he manages to get her to not be sick anymore.
Yeah.
Because she at the beginning she just called in sick because she was afraid of him, but he comes, he's super nice, and he convinces her to just go back with him to work with the taxi.
He's like, oh yeah, it's fine. We don't need to worry about the blah blah blah. And so then they get in the taxi. They're kind of talking. There's like, well, anyways, like blah blah. You gotta get me the goddamn file. It's just like, oh man, mean, mean. Okay, let's see, what else? Okay, real people.
What do you write?
Oh yeah, well.
So yeah, with that same secretary, there is one scene that is it's a bit shocking, or I mean, no, I mean it's hard to watch, but actually he ends up raping the secretary. But when you see the scene, you're not sure about that, and I mean you don't have to go into details with that scene, but what is well made is at some point later in the movie he says he's doing that, and that's the moment you really lose all the weird attachment you could have to him and stuff, because you know that he's lost and you have this character is lost and you have nothing for him anymore.
Well, just the funny thing about that is then when he's like imagining talking to his psychiatrist and just like, oh, you know, I raped a girl the other day. It's just like so casual, you know, just
yeah, and then it's like imagining.
Yeah, it's like, oh, and then I killed somebody last night, and then it's like, oh, that's fine. People die every day. Yeah. I mean, come on. I don't know. I don't know. I think we can just start like now, like with like a new something, I guess. Let's see. Oh
yeah. Also, that movie was an inspiration for some memes that are still used.
Oh yeah, that movie was also an inspiration for some tattoos that roommates get of his face.
Because some people get their face off.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, I mean at this point I could almost just talk about all his movies. We just talk all night.
Yeah, it's hard to just focus on one movie because we're too passionate, but yeah, in that movie you have that famous meme, yeah, okay. So, excuse my French. Because there's that one scene he's like yelling at his secretary, and he's doing these big eyes and stuff, and just being horrible to her and stuff. which is a very powerful scene, but which explains as well why it became a meme, a very famous meme. You can check it out on the internet, like if you haven't seen it, but you probably know it already.
Yeah. I mean, I actually had it. I was jogging once with like my shirt off, and at like a red light or something, I was like waiting for it to turn green, and this like German guy behind me was just like, "Hey, can I take a photo of your tattoo?"
Of course.
Like, sure, go for it, man. But yeah, I mean, yeah. Let's see.
What else? We've been through the secrets. No, hopefully. Oh yeah, there's one specific scene I want to talk about where Nicolas Cage actually admitted by himself that he was really inspired by opera or It's that scene. It's after he raped his secretary. He's doing the really ridiculous sound for crying, and he's like, and it's actually very powerful because that's one of the core fundamentals of the Cage acting, the nouveau
Shamanic.
the nouveau shamanic, because it's portraying some opera or theater way of playing in a movie, and when you see the scene when he's crying that way, like it looks really, in a way, at the first very ridiculous, but in a way it makes the scene really more powerful, or it makes the character also less likable, but it's something very specific to Cage. So if you've seen the movie and you remember that scene, like, be sure it was made on purpose, and it's really strong.
I mean, going back and like watching this again now, like I think I have like more respect, or like I enjoy his performance in it like even more, because it's like, yeah, like I don't know, they're just like you.
Definitely watching it today again, like, really made it more enjoyable. And
yeah, I mean, I'm sure the alcohol helped.
yeah, to everyone listening, we've been drinking, and we're doing this because we love Nicolas Cage, and we just want to have fun sharing it, and
just want to talk about him. Yeah.
Because for the ones not yet in the group, you can join our Facebook group, the Nick Cage Club. Well, don't be weird.
Yeah, don't be weird. You know, because there's that. I mean, to be honest, there's just like all these like weird people that are like they like try to like sexualize him and stuff. Like, oh, look at this beautiful photo of him, like blah blah. Like, dude, I mean, I like his acting, but like, dude, he looks like shit here. Like, what are you talking about? Just be like, I don't know. People be weird.
Yeah, but I mean, Drive Angry. It's that movie where, I mean, we can talk about the movie another time, but he's like basically having sex with that prostitute and
while killing people.
While killing people with his shotgun.
Really cool action sequence.
By the way, the movie is in 3D.
Is it you saw in 3D?
Drive Angry?
Yeah, he's John 3D.
No, I saw it in 3D because I had this friend who had a 3D TV. And the only 3D DVD he had was Drive Angry. Yeah, back to Vampire's Kiss, like, definitely a good movie, and definitely seeing some good acting.
I mean, yeah, if... To be honest, I don't think it's something that you should... You're just jumping into Nicolas Cage. That's probably not like the first movie you should start with. Like once you kind of get an idea about like his style and who he is, then I think you'll.
No, but also like we were saying before, in a cultural way, like it's also the source of a meme that is one of the most famous meme, and I mean, yeah, I mean,
you meme. You meme. No, we meme.
We meme.
We meme. Hold on here. Let's get one more. Okay. Yeah, so I mean, I guess to kind of sum it up, I mean, it's definitely, like a must-see Cage movie for sure.
Yeah, definitely a movie that has his, that you have to see if you like cinema and if you like Cage. And even if you don't like Cage, like it's definitely something very interesting, especially because it's, like I say, like if it inspired American Psycho and other movies and stuff, like, so it has definitely his mark in the history of cinema.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I guess we want to thank everybody for listening, and we're. Sorry, want to say something?
Yeah, shut up. No, sorry. No, I just hope everyone was listening till the end, and I hope you enjoy listening to us as much as we enjoy talking about it. And if that's the case, we will do more of this.
Yeah, I mean, we want to do more, but if it's at the rate we're going now, I mean, it's probably going to take us like 80 years to do all of them.
Yeah, I mean, that first episode took about 8 months.
Yeah. So, we'll see, but, hopefully we'll get something out. I mean, the real question is like, what's the next movie, dude? Like, if we were going to do another one, what's the next one? I
mean, we can either go for one classic action movie or one other movie that is not that well known, but I would appreciate maybe Love at Heart or a very classic.
Well, I mean, there's always Con Air, there's always The Rock. I mean, even Face Off. I mean,
I was about to say Face Off.
I mean,
you know what? Just tell us in the comments.
Tell us in the comments, totally.
But if one person say USS Indianapolis, then
you're banned. You're banned. Oh man! Oh yeah, dude.
And yeah, don't forget, Prisoners of the Ghostland is coming out on the 17th of September.
Yeah, and just so you guys know, we're not a sponsor. We just want you to know that's coming out then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah.